Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. This episode is brought to you by Transfuse. Transfuse is the only all-natural electrolyte drink that you guys need to have in your cabinets. We love this stuff. We've been using this for an entire season now. This stuff is amazing. I feel great when I drink Transfuse. I drink it every single day. I don't go a day without putting a packet of Transfuse in my water. It's very easy, very portable, easy to travel with, and delicious to drink, which means that you're going to love drinking it and you're going to drink more of it, which is going to be incredibly beneficial to your health. Has magnesium, potassium, sodium, which are all amazing for proper hydration. It has zinc, vitamin C, vitamin B, and choline. These things are incredible cognitive enhancers and immune boosting formulas that you don't want to miss out on, especially in times like this. I'm telling you, I drink Transfuse every single day. I love it. Tyler does as well. Anybody who has tried it has been just pouring with great feedback back to us. There's a reason that they're at all the NXL events, and a lot of the top teams and top professionals are using this product. Do not walk around dehydrated. I never realized how dehydrated I was, even when I was drinking all sorts of water. It's not enough. You need the proper nutrition. You need the right ingredients. Transfuse has done a great job of curating the perfect formula. Transfuse is absolutely spectacular, and for all of our listeners, there is a special deal for any Play the Game listener. If you head over to translabs.com, that's TRANZLABS.com, and use code PLAYTHEGAME at checkout, you will get 10% off. If you subscribe, which means they auto ship you your package every single month, whatever you want, whatever type, whatever flavor, whatever electrolyte formula you desire, they will give you an additional 11% off. So it becomes a 21% discount exclusively for all Play the Game listeners. Huge shout out, and we are incredibly thankful for our supporters. And if you guys would like to go support them, it's translabs.com. Use code Play the Game. We are brought to you by Heal Brand. Heal Brand is the best CBD company that we have ever come across. I've been taking CBD products for years now, and I absolutely love it. But Heal Brand has taken my CBD consumption level to the next tier. This stuff is really the luxurious, high-quality, best brand that you're going to come across. Their whole claim to fame is the nanotechnology. It's the real deal. The claim is that through their nanotechnology, the CBD can actually break through the cellular wall and get into the bloodstream much faster and more efficiently. So you need less to do more. Often CBD products, you'll need to take it for a couple weeks before you really start noticing all of the benefits. With this stuff, as soon as you take it, you notice it right away. Within 15, 20 minutes, you're feeling the benefits of CBD. CBD is great for inflammation, anxiety, sleeping, all sorts of different stuff. CBD is really exploding on the scene because it has such a wide variety of benefits. I personally love to use CBD before I go to bed so I can get a full, well-rested night of sleep. Sleep is so crucial. It's so important. If you want to recover well, if you want to fight off depression and anxiety and those unwanted emotions, proper sleep is where you need to start. CBD products really help me do that, and Heal Brand CBD has a wide variety of options of different products, different formulas. It is all natural. It's amazing. This stuff is fantastic. You guys can head over to healbrand.com, check them out, and there is an exclusive offer to all of our PTG listeners. If you use code PLAYTHEGAME at checkout, you'll get 10% off. All right, PTG fam, we got a great episode for you. We got Jason Edwards from Tampa Bay Damage. He is a legend of the game, been around for a long, long time. You guys know who he is. He has a lot of great insight, has been an absolute dominator on the field for many, many years, has totally transformed his game. He's the quarterback of the team, and he also does a lot behind the scenes and off the field to help the future generation of paintball players as well. So this conversation was very insightful. We're very thankful to have the man, the myth on the show. Without further ado, see you in the episode.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Jason Edwards, ultimate dominator, dude. The man, the myth, the legend. Yeah. OG in the game, man. How's it going, brother?
Going good, man. Just found out today I'm having a boy, so super stoked about that.
Hey, nice.
There we go.
Stop trying,
dude.
Yeah.
You know what your next trip's going to be
this weekend, so we're good.
Yeah.
What's my next trip?
Your next stop is to the doctor's office to tie that thing off.
Oh yeah, dude, ready. If I wasn't on here with you guys, I'd probably go tonight. Like, I'm ready. Three kids is scary, but like, I wasn't gonna stop.
Dude, that's a beautiful thing, man. Congratulations to you and the family and everybody. It's just such a, dude, having a child is a crazy experience because of so much family love. Like, you're like, hold on, I haven't heard from you in years. Now you are everywhere, and it's a beautiful thing. And like, it's a just pouring in of love. So it's a beautiful experience. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I love seeing you have your daughter out there at the field all the time, having fun, making friends out there. That's amazing, bro.
Oh, dude, she's hooked now. Like, it started off just at that pro invitational was like, honestly, the first time I brought it out there, because the nets aren't all that safe and great at the place we practice at.
Sure.
So like, I kind of avoided bringing her out, but my parents brought her to watch, and dude, it's been insane. Every Sunday she knows. Like, I try to creep into the shower and she just comes running. Now it's just cool. Like, a normal ordeal thing. So she loves it.
Dude, have you heard of gel blasters?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have some of those?
No, I don't have any yet, but like, I'll definitely get some.
Oh,
she's got like 2 little kids in the neighborhood that she like plays like Nerf with and stuff.
Okay.
So,
dude, we got to get you guys hooked up.
Kind of going down that train.
Yeah, Gel Blasters is badass. They actually just sponsored the show. It's so cool. I've got 2 of them back here. I know they sent Tyler a couple, but it's like, dude, it's the perfect thing for kids, man. It's such an awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a Nerf gun on steroids.
We'll be sure to get you the code. We'll help you out, get you a little discount, and if you're on our Patreon, you get a discount as well. So shout out to the Patreon crew. But Gel Blasters is amazing. I have these bushes out front, and me and my 5-year-old just run around and shoot each other with these little gel balls. It's pretty crazy. They're biodegradable. They're non-toxic, so they're like not gonna mess anything up, and they're just a bunch of fun.
Yeah, look like a good time.
Oh yeah, they sting too. They sting. They're good.
I'm sure Jason's used to it. You don't mind that. But you got to get the kids, you get them hooked early. I feel like that's the perfect segue into paintball. You get these little gel blasters. I'm stoked. I want to find a way to get these in the hands of all the kids out there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
100%.
They have fields that some of the fields will even let you just, if you have your gel blasters, run around out there or, just have a good time. They even have the little fields for kids. I kind of want to get a couple bunkers and like set them up in the backyard or something.
Yeah,
definitely should.
Yeah.
So Jay, dude, you we know thank you so much for coming on the show, man. We know you got a lot going on with the family and stuff like that, but we want to dive into how you got involved in the game. For the listeners, you are an iconic player, man, have been for a long time. You're kind of the gold standard for a back player, somebody who's just a dominant gunfighter. You understand how to lead a team. You understand pretty much everything there is about paintball. You've won at the highest levels. Your resume is stacked, right? So, for the listeners, how'd you get into the game? What was your first experience? I know it wasn't gel blasters. They weren't around back then. So what'd you have going on?
No. Yeah, no, mine was way unsafe. So like a couple baseball buddies and I, we always wanted to play war and stuff like that. Like that was the big thing. And I always thought I was going to be a sniper growing up. So like we went out and got a bunch of BB guns and we tried to put some limits on it, just a single pump, but we were all too competitive. So it got real brutal real fast. And, people are screaming out in the woods behind this neighborhood and a bunch of people called the cops. So some cops came and it was actually a police officer that told us about paintball. He was just like, hey, there's a way safer, way to do this. When he came, we were actually like digging BBs out of like our friends. So it got real brutal, completely unsafe. Parents had no clue about it. So they were happy to find a safer alternative once the cops let them know what we were doing. And,
that's Florida. That's Florida style right there, boy. Yeah. Tell you what. Let's go.
I mean, we all started off with the single pump and it wasn't too bad. It was like an airsoft gun with a little bit more, zing to it.
Yeah.
But once you can't reach the guy or, you shot him, he didn't come out, you start pumping it 4, 5, 10 times. And it got real brutal. But yeah, so I went and, found this local store and, I didn't do the rental thing or anything like that. I jumped in immediately, bought a cheap gun and then, just got hooked. I think I played recreational paintball for maybe a month before I jumped into my first tournament. And I just have like a really addictive personality, especially with sports. And I was just hooked. And some of the baseball guys stayed with me too. And like we did, the low divisional type thing, even though back then there was only like 4 divisions in paintball. And my whole family saw how much fun it was. So my mom, my dad, and my older sister jumped in and started playing paintball too. So we made like a, family team. And we actually went around and played like Mardi Gras, Skyball, a bunch of things as a family, just 4 of us. And then, whichever friend I had at that point. And we
Damn.
liked it so much. We bought into this first paintball field. Didn't work out that great. The lease options weren't that good. It was in a not such a sweet area. And then we got into our second paintball field, which was really iconic and helped grow a lot of paintball down here in the east side of Florida. But that land sold for an absurd amount of money, and my mom was basically like, "I'm done, wasting my weekends away at a paintball field. I need some free time," because we also owned a construction business back then. And so we gave her the break. But at this point now, I would love to get back into owning a paintball field, just because I think that's what made me so good. I played nonstop for weeks. And that's what made Jacob so good, because I needed someone to shoot at during the weekdays. So even if he was like 8 or 9 years old, I just wore him out.
Yeah.
I love
Dude,
that.
you guys are cut from a different cloth out there. I'm telling you, man. Florida paintball is world renowned. There's certain pockets of the world that have produced outstanding paintball, and that's one of them. So it's really cool to have been able to watch you and your brother firsthand. And I even was so fortunate enough to play alongside you guys on Damage for a little bit there. And I learned a lot from your organization and, people like Joey. We had Timmy and Carthy and Rumsey and all those characters. And it was just a cool time in paintball. And Damage has had a great story, man. It's been amazing to watch over the years. And you guys are building a strong organization right now. And at World Cup had a great showing. So it's cool to see another team out there that has been dominant for so long, like you guys have been.
Yeah, tons of ups and downs, highs and lows. Like when I came over to the team, they've had one win, everything like that, and then slowly we picked up a few more people. We brought in the fresh blood, Keith and Jacob, and we just went on like one of the craziest runs ever. It was just super awesome. And then like any other team, once you start getting too successful, people start stealing your players and stuff like that. And that didn't hurt us at all. It was just when the budget got cut and we had to really see who could play for heart and like who was playing for money. So you guys have been there with restructured teams. Like it's been definitely brutal, and it's been super hard at times, especially when it was just me trying to run everything. But luckily now CJ sees how committed the guys still are, so he's still involved. And then Joey, I got Joey back in with me, so it's been pretty crazy. Like I thought honestly last year, if that one point didn't go the way it did with the Russians, I really think we had Vegas. And then World Cup, every team was shorthanded, and then even though we already came in shorthanded, we had players get hurt. So if we would have had some fresh legs against X Factor, I think that game could have went completely different. But that's just the way paintball is. And we picked up some solid players for this year, so I'm stoked to see what happens in 2021.
Dude, you guys picked up LJ. We had him on the show. I think that's an awesome pickup, man. He adds a very colorful attack up the center for sure. Obviously somebody who's won an MVP. He knows what it takes to win. He's dialed in. He was actually texting me this morning that he was watching all this film from World Cup. He was like commenting on some of my games. I was like, damn, bro, you're clocked in right now, dude. He made me want to go watch film. No joke. He's clocked in right now.
He's hyper focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's flying in tomorrow for our first practice with him, and he's pretty much hit me up this week. He's excited.
Yeah.
I tried picking up Tyler. He wouldn't come. He wouldn't leave his little business partner over here.
Well, it's
Definitely
a package deal, dude. What the fuck?
Chicago.
You call Tyler, you don't call me. What the hell? What do you think this is, bro?
That's a package deal, baby.
You bleed blue, man. I didn't think I'd ever get you.
Dude,
I've heard that. I've heard that.
Yeah. In World Cup, that was some of my favorite paintball to watch at that tournament, was watching you guys. You guys were playing with that fire, man, and I love seeing that. And the guys, like you said, it's paintball tournaments. Like you win some, you lose more. It doesn't typically go how you want it to. And every once in a while, like you said, being hyper focused and dialing in and making sure that everything is accounted for, then you give yourself the best opportunity. But it is a game. That's the thing. It's not for sure. It's a game.
Yep. And honestly, it's like any other sport. Like winning's contagious. Once like you guys just won a cup, like I'd be completely surprised if you guys don't win another event this year. It's like, I think it's not even like, a lot of people say once you've won, you figure out what it takes to win. I really don't think it's that. I think it's just all that stress is off you. People are more willing to make moves and do things that they wouldn't have done before. Like they're not so focused on making mistakes. They're just out there having fun. And, it just always seems to happen that way. Like you look at when X Factor won that event, like they went on a little run, Russians, us, like you guys, and it's really cool. So I know we're just like 1 to 2 points away from it. So I can't wait to get that first big win since it's been so long. And
Bro,
just run with it.
It's scary.
Sorry.
No,
How
go ahead,
many
Ty.
has it been?
Since they won.
Yeah.
13, I think, 2013.
Okay.
In
California.
a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long drought. I'll tell you what. I know it's scary for the league. When you guys win an event with the team you guys have now, you guys are tough as it is, and you're right. Like there's something about when you win with the same group of guys, it is learning how to win together, and maybe the term learning isn't right. Maybe you are correct. It's the stress is off of you. So next time at the next event, it's just you have that confidence. The whole team has that belief in each other that you can go the distance, and you can accomplish that. It's a game changer. It always is. You always see teams, like that is the breaking point. Once you win that first event, then the gates are open. If you continue to work, then it's you have the confidence that you could do it, and that makes all the difference when you're in those tight games Sunday. It's all mental. When you're with teams that are equally as talented or within a 10% difference, it's all confidence, man. It's all about believing in the situation, believing in each other, believing in yourself, and you can't have that belief without winning. So when
I think that's a good point, because it's one of those things where it's like, when you're not winning, you're never really looking at yourself. You're looking at the teammate next to you and that guy, and you're like, man, maybe if we picked up this guy, could we win? Does that guy deserve to be here? That kind of stuff. And then once you've won with those guys, you're like, oh, all right, like we all deserve to be here. Like, let's win again and again. So it's like, I think that's more so for younger players, and stuff like that. But yeah, that it builds that confidence, not only in yourself, because now you've done it, but like, you don't mind being out there 2-on-3, 2-on-4 with that guy next to you because you pulled it out in the biggest, most crucial time before. So
sure, exactly, 100%.
Yeah, you got to be in the trenches with each other. You got to go to war and see what people are made of, because that's how you can really tell who's standing out there with you. And then once you know who's out there with you, you already know it's a wrap when you get into certain situations, when you have your boy with you. Yeah.
Yeah, you just start reading each other's body language. They're about to go to work and get the kills that you need, and you got that one-on-one down pack. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah, you got to have that chemistry, man. So that's a huge thing for the listeners, man. Build that chemistry, make that a focal point. Really cut through the fog of all the BS that usually goes on with most team sports, and just like take it for what it's worth. Take every kernel of knowledge you can away from each situation, and start to build on what is going to be a winning combination out there. Because most of the time, it's pretty easy to see. You're like, okay, if one guy takes over, we can do this and start to win these games together.
Definitely.
Yeah, you guys have been playing with a massive chip on your shoulder too for really a couple seasons now. Ever since Keith came back, I feel like you guys have just been slowly building up the tension of, like, I mean, you're wearing the shirt right now. It says hate right on your chest, and I feel like you guys truly play with that style, that type of aggression. And it's you guys are one of the very few teams that, at certain points throughout events, is like, Damage looks scary right now. And if we have to face them, it's gonna be a problem. Like we got to figure out how to deal with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I truly believe it's a matter of time when you guys do get, again, it's not any of your guys' first win, but when you get another win recently, it's just like Dynasty, same thing. We hadn't won in a long time, but boom, you get that one. And I mean, we'll see what happens this year, but you're 100% right.
Who started the hate movement? I got to know. Who was it?
That's Jason.
Dude, it was me forever ago. It actually came from you remember that computer game Counter-Strike? That's what it started out with. There was just a bunch of us, and they were like, we need 4-letter word for our clan tag. And I was like, yo, let's just do hate. And then it turned into Hate Crew. Then it became like a professional 7-man team when we had Miami Effect and a bunch of other stuff. And like, I started building farm teams off of it. And then honestly, man, I was super young. I think I was like 17 or 18, trademarked it, and like got a letter in the mail from J Crew that basically was like season to sit. Like, they basically were saying that I was trying to, harm their brand. They thought that's what it was all about. And I was so young, I was afraid. Like, I thought I got sued. I had no clue what was going on. And, I just kind of dropped the ball on it and let it go for a while. Like, I've always, lasered it into my guns, wrote it on my hands, just taught kids to play. It's an aggressive sport. Like, I don't go out there and say like, oh, I hate everyone in the world. But when I'm on the field, like, I'm not throwing you a Frisbee. I'm trying to shoot you. Like, it's an aggressive sport, like, and that's how I look at it. Like, people always question it, like, oh, why would you promote hate or anything like that? I'm like, I'm pointing a gun at this person's head from 1 foot away. Like, I'm not, not trying to like pat him on the butt and run by him. Like, I'm trying to let him know, like, hey, you messed up. Here I am. Like, I got your side. So, and that's the thing. Like, I've always tried to play like that and teach that like into people, because once you get that aggressive nature, like Marcelo was just saying, dude, it died on us. Like, I was so focused on building up these divisional kids that I kept trying to bring into pro during the rebuild. Like, I let myself go, gained a bunch of weight, like just completely like lost focus. And like the last 2 years, I feel like the whole team is just dialed in, and it's like, all right, let's just play with all the heart and aggression and hate that we can. And, it'll come back. And, like I said, last year, we're just points away from winning. So
yeah, dude,
we figured this was the best time to drop the brand back out there. And
nice.
and it's gotten, dude, all the guys are fired up. So like, I love it.
Bro,
so
you guys are working.
Keep building it.
We see you guys. I see you guys. You guys are working. You guys are out there doing drills almost every weekend, it seems like. Like I said, it's it's that's the recipe. You got to.
That's it, man. Yeah,
just
you
fall
got
in love with the game. That's really what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, Jason, you've had a very storied career that actually a lot of the listeners probably don't even know the iconic teams you played for before Damage. So let's run through that real quick. How you started playing some tournaments. How'd you really get, how'd you dive head first and come up through? You were on Philly, Strange, Miami Effect, or Miami Rage, sorry.
Let's start ground floor.
Yeah, exactly. All those legendary organizations. Let's chat.
Yeah.
So luckily for like me, Florida's just like California. That back in the day, there was 4 or 5 pro teams out here, so it was easy to not only be noticed but to play the best players around. So for me, like Frank Connell was, longtime All-American paintball player. He would play at the fields that I'd play at. Then he ended up owning his own field. So I worked my way through the divisionals, just like I tell everyone else to. Was one of the most successful, divisional Florida teams, winning everything throughout the entire state in a year. And then, I started playing at Frank Connell's home field, which was called Space Coast Paintball. And, he asked me and a couple other guys, like, hey, how would you like to try out for professional paintball? I was already playing on like the Jacksonville Warriors B team, so I already knew what pro paintball took and everything.
Sorry, how old were you when that happened? When you got asked?
I think I was 14 and a half or 15, something like that. Yeah,
nice,
14 or
dude.
15.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I went head first. Like the second I picked up a paintball gun, I was like, this recreational paintball is not for me. Like I want to win trophies and stand up on podiums. And so like I dove in, and my mom, my dad were there just constantly feeding it to me. Like, just keep trying, keep going.
Dude, you have the best,
so Frank
you have the best family.
Tryout.
Your family's the shit.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there. Your family is the best.
Yeah. Like even when the guys come in town, man, like, people questioned it. I bought a house and like fixed up, sold it, and bought a bigger house and moved my parents in with me. And they're like, why would you do that? I'm like, dude, I want my family there. Like they're the best. Like,
totally.
They've always supported everything I've wanted to do. And like, I can't ask for anything else. And once I knew I was having kids, right when I found out my wife was pregnant, I was like, called my parents. I was like, hey, I'm going to buy this big ass house and you guys are moving in. So
that's
sell your
awesome.
house. And so like they're here. I want my kids to experience my parents the most they can. So like
it's
I love how it's working out.
It's timeless, having the grandparents that close and around. It means a lot to everybody. I mean, to you guys, the kids, the whole dynamic, it's an amazing thing. So sorry, I cut you off, but you were working your way through the lineage there.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so actually my parents were a part of that. They got to know Frank as well. They trusted him, and he went up to them and told him like, hey, your son's really young. Like, I know you did it too, Tyler. So they were like, hey, your son's really young. This team's got no one under 25, 26 years old on it, but I really think he could play professional paintball. So my dad knew like that X ball was becoming a thing and that teams were searching for younger players. And so this was like the very last year of, just 10 man. And I went out to Extreme Rage, and there was, and there must've been 15, 20 people trying out. And I just had one of those weekends where it was like, every time I pointed my gun, someone died. Like they ended up, playing team, like 5-on-5s, everything. I was just doing really good. And then they did one-on-ones, won the one-on-one, competition against the whole, like regular All-Americans and the tryout guys. And then I knew I did really good. I had some weird things going on that weekend where like, I think I had like 5 paintball guns and every single one of them broke. So I was constantly just switching. I thought maybe they would look at me down because I'd have to miss a point to fix a gun or something. And, I didn't really know if I was going to make it or not, just because like no lie, everyone was 26 plus years old. Like it was insane. And I'm just like this little kid playing in the rollers, running through the X, going to their rollers. And, I loved it. But so they invited me, Ryan Moorhead, and a couple other guys back. We went to Pomona, like one of the California events, the very first one, and just decked us out in gear. It was the greatest feeling ever, like showing up to a hotel room and there's just a 50-gallon trash bag slam full of paintball gear, and they're just like, here's all your new stuff. Just loving it. And
dude,
I was hyped. It was like winning the lotto. Like, yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I've always worked summer jobs and bought paintball gear, and I always had good stuff, but you never get handed something like that, and you open it up and it's just all fresh new stuff, and it felt good. Yeah. So then didn't play a single point. Like, these guys were smashing people all event, and just sitting there watching them. And I'm just, I was still like super happy to be there, but like I said, super competitive. Like, I want to play. So I go to the next event in Mardi Gras, find out, man, I am way too young to be on this team. Like, everyone's partying. I'm just like this little kid, can't even drive, anything like that. And the coach at the time was Daryl Trent. So I asked him, as professional as a 15-year-old kid could, like, hey, what do I have to do to get playing time, basically? And he was like, man, I'm gonna be dead honest, like, you're just really young. And like these guys, I don't know if they trust you, and this is a team sport, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, well, I'll wait and put in the work and I'll stay here. So then they basically told me, like, hey, we have All-Americans too. It's, the farm team for this. Everything's still taken care of if you want to play on that, but you'll play every single point, basically. I jumped right on. I said, all right, I'm willing to, go down and rank to play as much paintball as possible. So I jumped down there, and that didn't last more than a couple of events, because the original Miami Effect had to drop out of the NXL to go play 7-man because they weren't allowed to play both of them.
That's right.
So then Billy Gardner purchased that spot and took the All-Americans too, and became Miami Effect. So I went right back to pro within like 2 events, 3, I don't know, maybe more than 2 events. Like,
I just want to stop you right there, because that's so important, I think, to just hit on. Your ego is not attached to this whole pro thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much egoic nature going into the whole facade of being pro at anything, I guess, but you're more in love with playing actual points than having that title. You know what I mean? And you knew, for the betterment of yourself, you're going to get way more reps. You're going to get way more experience by maybe taking a step back and working up the hard way, instead of just being in an organization that's called pro and riding that. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate that. And I think there's a really valuable bit in there that, just kill the ego, do the work, and then look at what it's done for your career. You know what I mean? Who knows, if you would have just rode the bench, you might not be sitting here,
Exactly. Yeah. And I've done that with any sport that I've ever played. Like, try to look at all your different avenues and try to figure out what's going to make you the most successful. Like, where are you going to learn the most from? And sit in the bench. Like, honestly, some people can learn a lot from it. I'm not one of them. Like, I don't, I can watch the game and I'll study the players and I'll feel it, but like, I need to be out there failing. I need to be out there, getting shot in the face to learn from like my mistakes. So, I took that opportunity right when they told me, like, drop on down, and it was sweet. Cause like, when I did, that's when I got to play with Ryan Moorhead and a bunch of the other younger guys. So like, now I'm on a team with people that were closer to my age. Like, maybe they were, 18 and I was 15, but like, it felt good. And then, like I said, it didn't last very long. We jumped right back into pro, and we got our teeth kicked in every match. Like, Miami Effect, the smart part's Miami Effect. We didn't win a single match, like, for the whole time I was on the team. And I honestly, like, I say that's what made me how good I am at paintball now. And, it's just from getting beat up on, but like, I'm such a, loyal teammate and player. Like, I wasn't going anywhere. Like, they gave me the first opportunity, they gave me the second one, and then they gave me the third one, like right back to pro. And, I had a couple teams ask about me, and like, I wasn't going to go anywhere. I was going to stay there until that team either won or fell apart. And, eventually, like, it fell apart, but it was awesome experience along the way. Like, when you have to play a bunch of 1-on-3s, 1-on-4s, like, you learn really fast how to win gunfights.
You have to sink or swim, baby.
Yeah. Man, I remember being like a freshman in high school, and girls like trying to tickle my hair, the seat behind you, like they're rubbing your head, and just peeling scabs out after events. Just my head split all the time. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Like, it was 2 halves. Like, you would get beat. Like, I don't think we ever really got dominated, but like a good 15-3 whooping, you're going to get bunkered quite a few times. Like, and sometimes the scores could be a lot higher than that.
Oh, yeah. A 15-3 whooping at 15 balls. Well, even before 15 balls a second, it was uncapped,
Yeah.
That's right.
Bro, that shit was so brutal, I'm fortunate. I was never on a team that got whooped. I've never been on a team that just got spanked. Thank God, you know.
The-
Remember Ultimate?
yeah.
Oh, God, that
Oh
was
yeah.
terrible.
Oh my God.
I know.
It'd
It
be
was
like
brutal.
24-1. Oh man, those kids, they came back
Every time.
event after event. They came back.
Every time.
Smiling,
Oh,
loving life,
smiling.
just getting
Oh man.
punished.
That's
That is
heart.
brutal.
That's
Some
passion,
good
dude.
players came from that team too. Like the
Yeah.
Rhodes brothers came from there, and like they
Yep.
had a successful streak for a little bit.
Oh, I
That's
didn't
right.
know that. Okay, yeah. I honestly I didn't know any players that had come out of that camp. But yeah,
Where
the
did-
Rhodes brothers did have a good streak for a while. Yeah.
What about Wake? Zach Wake. Where did he come from?
Naughty
Was that
Dogs.
He came from there.
from
I think he came
Ultimate,
from
right?
the
He
Ultimate
did
first.
play on Ultimate.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God, you're right. We used to make fun of him for that on Aftermath. Dude, you're right. I totally forgot.
He was
Zach
dope.
Wake-
I like
was
Zach
dope.
Wake a
Yeah,
lot.
Zach's the man.
Yeah. I miss that kid. I wish he played more paintball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Super
in
fast.
he's
Yeah,
into
he is,
golf
man.
now. Him and his brother, they golf, you know,
Don't-
hang out. Jason, you golf, don't you?
Yeah,
a little
golf.
bit?
Not as much as my brother. Like my brother's actually in the back right now, hitting on the Sky Track.
Oh
So
shit.
we
Nice.
have a little.
What-
Yeah, we have like a turf back porch with like everything set up. So
Whoa.
yeah, he's back there,
Dude,
like getting his
what?
irons set in.
What's
Yeah.
a sky track?
You need that, Marcelo,
It's-
immediately.
Basically, like it's a radar that looks over the golf ball, and then when you swing, it reads basically anything and
Oh.
everything that the club's
Oh.
doing, and then the flight path, yardage, everything. And then
Whoa.
right now he's got it displayed to a computer, but like we're working on getting a projector out there and everything.
Bro, that's so funny. It's again, I do a similar thing. I picked up golf during the whole pandemic, you know, maybe 6-7 months ago. And you know, I fell in love with it. I was like, I want to get really good. So I've got a little putting station set up in my living room, you know, and pretty much every night I'm just like going through different movements, different swings. I'm Googling stuff, making sure it's all the same, dude. If you want to get good at something, the process is the same, no matter what it is, you know? And so it's no surprise you guys got that going on in the backyard. Jacob's out there dialing all the
drills.
little details, you know, it's my club face a little in, you know, like all that stuff. It's so important, but
Yeah,
it is funny.
he's
It's like,
ridiculous. He's so good though.
is he really good at golf?
Yeah, it's stupid. Like
Nice.
low
Oh, wow.
70s every time. Like
Wow. Okay. How long have you guys been
Yeah.
playing?
He's been playing for a while. So like he had a job where he didn't have to work every day during the week, and my parents had a place on a golf course. So his senior year of high school and stuff like that, he was homeschooled too. So he played a lot of golf. Like I went more for the long drive competitions and stuff like that, and fell in love with that. Definitely does not work with a paintball schedule. They like to put like all the third round qualifiers on tournaments. So yeah, kind of sucks. But so my dad, my mom play golf super good. Always begged us to golf. Neither one of us wanted to do it. It was a sissy sport, blah, blah, blah.
That's what I always
and then
thought.
The older
dude.
you get, you're like, man, when you're young, that's what you think. You're like, that's lame. Like, look at these guys out there. And then when you get older, you're like, oh, I got to do this business meeting. Like, I'd like to be good at golf or this.
Dude,
So
yes.
I jumped into it, and it works. Like, it's so nice when I hit the ball really far. So it's nice when you go out there and your first drive, you hit it like 370. Like people are like, oh wow, like that's nice. And it works good for meetings. Like
And then you can't hit with your wedge to save your life.
Yeah, exactly.
You just ping
The
pong
short
back
game,
and
no
forth.
bueno. Yeah.
Dude, it's
Dude,
hard.
that's
man.
tight.
Jacob's nasty. Like
Yeah.
Jacob doesn't leave anything like 2 foot from a hole. Like every approach.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
You're kidding me.
easy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Man.
So that's
I
the,
do. He literally. I went and did something with my family, and I came back. I have 3 holes drilled in my back porch and a putting green laid out, like because he wanted
That's
a
really
putting
cool.
green in the back.
Yeah.
so we know what he'll be doing when he's done with paintball. He's going to be a pro golfer. That guy.
Yeah, dude. One lesson his whole life, and he's already shooting like low 70s.
Yikes.
Well, it's so cool too because it's a game that you could play, well into your 70s even,
Yeah,
and so it's something
exactly.
that we could all like, when we're done with paintball, when we're retired, kicking back, me and Tyler could come out to Florida, see you boys, out to the golf course, have a couple beers, shoot around. Like I think that's really cool about golf. I never, I
love
never
it.
appreciated it as much. I'm in love with it. I think it's a great game.
Yeah. We
I
go
love
from
it
the
'cause
most
It's just so challenging. Like
Yes.
that's the thing for me. Like not to be like like egotistical or anything, but like I go to a local paintball field. It's not very challenging. You go to a local golf course, it kicks your ass, and then you're like, hey, like I need to get better at this. And like I enjoy, like you said, like I enjoy the study. Like I like to try to figure out how to be better at things. So I still do that with paintball every day. Blah blah blah. But like, this is a new thing. So like you see, hey man, I can't break 100, and then you're in the 90s, then you're in the 80s, and now you want to get in the 70s. Like it's awesome for like, so for people like us that are so competitive, now I'm working on, this whole new sport that started off whooping me, and eventually like I'll own it. And I think that's what that Jacob's got the same mindset and everything. So I think that's why he's dove into it so far. So like once I saw you start golfing, Marcelo, I was like, yeah, watch this. This dude's hooked. And then it was like every day driving to the golf course. I'm like, yep, there you go. Like you can always tell when someone's got that personality.
Yeah.
We go from the most aggressive sport to the most relaxed. I think that's the cool juxtaposition of them too. Is
there ain't nothing relaxing about golf to me. Nothing relaxing, dude. I'm fucking slamming the golf cart.
Well, that's what you do at the paintball field, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, exactly. Relaxing. Huh.
Yeah,
You're all tripping.
Yeah, you're chasing that ball from side to side, all up and down the field.
What's great about it is that it's really just you against yourself. You step up and like no one's defending you. No one's putting a hand up to block your shot. No one's shooting back at you. If you miss, it's so much more frustrating than if you miss a shot in paintball, because you miss a shot in paintball, it's like, damn, he dodged it. That was a good, or that was a good move, or you put a good ball on me. When you mess up in golf, it's like, you idiot. That was 100% your fault. Like you just blew it. Actually, you suck.
Like seriously, you lifted your head like eye on the ball, man. Come on, hit down through it. Like what are you looking at? There's nothing up there.
Exactly. Yeah,
dude. Jason, what was your favorite nostalgic paintball team? In your kind of adolescence that you played with that made you into the player that you have become in Damage, would you say?
I'd say Rage. Like
Rage.
So Rage was like the most brotherly team. Like no one got messed with, and if they did, like the whole team was involved. Like everyone watched over each other, but then we all talked trash to each other. Like it was just like growing up with them basically. And I didn't play with them for very long. I think it was 2 seasons. And it felt good for me because like, they were another team like Damage. Like they used to be super successful and they were in a rough patch. And when I got there, like, I'm not saying it was me, but like there wasn't too many additions that year. And we just started, killing it. Like we only had one big win, but we had a whole bunch of second and thirds. And
there we go.
It was just awesome. Like it was a weird situation to me, like for me too. Like it was right after the Miami Effect thing. And, I went and tried out for Excessive. And like, dude, it was the worst thing ever. Like, not saying they were, like, I went up there and like just flying from Florida to California already, didn't like it. And then got strep throat, like had a pretty good tryout. They asked me if I wanted to come back to another tryout. And I wasn't doing it. Like it was either I made the team or I didn't. And, them saying basically, hey, you didn't make it on the first tryout was probably the best thing that happened to me, because then I took to that, like, basically like, hey, I don't think I truly got cut, but I was like, man, like they didn't think I was good enough to get on the team, and I ran with it that year. So like that was my year with Rage, and I felt like that was probably the year that like made me.
Who was on that team or some of the names on that one?
So that one was when it was a lot of like the guys that I grew up playing with, me, Travis Day, Kenny Clamper, Ziggy, Marky Ireland, and then the Spanish ones were like Orde, Frankie, Chino, and Adrian.
Dude, what a squad! Holy crap!
Yeah, and it was just a very weird paintball team. Like like our corner guys would carry 4 pods, our front guys would carry 6 pods. Like whereas like complete opposite for everyone else. Like and it was just like a really weird team. Like that's where we all started cross hand shooting across our bodies instead of snap shooting left-handed and right-handed. Like we just had our own weird style, but it worked out really good for us. And even though it was like a 3.5 hour drive for me to practices, like every weekend I looked forward to it. Like that was the when you play on a team like that, you're like, all right, like that's going to be lasting memories for sure. Yeah,
I remember watching you when I was younger, dude. You and that whole crew just out there running rackets. Those were the days, man.
Yeah, dude, that team was just wild. Like even to this day, like some of them are just a lot of them have not like settled down. Like they're still just wild people. Like a few of us have, but that was one of those teams. And it's just an iconic paintball team. It's like when I went to the All-Americans. Like you're playing on a team that was so successful for so long, and if you can contribute to that success, you feel like you did your part to hold that legacy alive.
Yeah, dude, that's those jerseys. John Dresser, I think, was doing some OG Rage jerseys recently.
Yeah.
What's his site called? We had him on too recently.
PB
It's
Retro?
Oh,
PB Retro.
yeah, I think
Is
it's
that
PB
it?
Retro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
think so,
so.
yeah.
Because he
It's
got
tight.
involved with like Marky Ireland's back playing, some divisional type paintball down here in Florida. And
Heck
these
yeah.
kids are, about at that age, they're doing the gel blaster thing and everything. So
Yeah.
I know he got involved with John, and they made a whole bunch of them. Like, because there was like 4 or 5 months, man, where if you had a Rage jersey, you were getting $400 or $500 for it. Like, they were all over the internet,
Damn.
people searching for them. Like, it's funny when those things pop up. Like, I think I
Mhm.
sold a couple of them for $200 or something. Thought I made out, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 years down the road, like, they're going for $500, and it's
You're
like,
damn it.
what brought it back? Like, yeah, what brought it back? What happened?
Yeah.
I traded for the listeners. It is pbretro.com. Shout out to John Dresser. But
Yeah.
I got to trade Art Mendoza jerseys. So I've got a dope Mendoza Rage
Oof.
jersey from back in the day. It's tight in my collection.
Nice.
Fire.
In
Yeah,
his
check it out.
size or your size?
It's his size, So
Yeah.
I swim a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm not playing in it. Let's put it.
Yeah.
That's a relic.
Dude, funniest story ever. Before I went to Rage, like, Art basically is like, hey, man, I'm a Miami Effect fanatic, blah, blah, blah. Get me a jersey. He said, hey, just have them make it. They know my size. And I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, I got
He's
him
the
one
boss.
made. And, dude, he held on to it forever. And, like, a lot of people, have said some bad things about Art throughout the days. But, like, dude, that guy took care of me. Like, he is one of the reasons I, like, would say Rage was one of my most favorite teams to play with. Like, he treated me like a god when I went down there, and anyone else that he brought down, he showed a good time. Like, I wasn't much of a club person, and I remember one time, like, it's a practice week, and he takes me to this crazy club, and you just treat it like VIP, and then hands you sunglasses, and you walk out, and it's daytime, and you're like, what just happened? Like, where did 8 hours, 9 hours of the night just go? And it's like, hey, we got to practice. Like, no going to sleep. Like, let's go.
Hey, they don't call it.
He did that for everyone.
They don't call it Rage for nothing. He's got both of the pinky and the index finger up. He's raging.
Yeah. Miami Rage was a dope team, dude. I remember there was just something about the team too that was intimidating. I mean, I was a young kid back then when Rage was a thing, but I remember going to events, NPPL events, seeing all you guys. You always had the chain on the jersey, but it was like, don't mess with the Rage guys, because if you pick a fight with them, all of them are coming for you. They're all coming.
Yeah, it's a clique. Yeah.
And they're really coming for you too. It's not just we're gonna push and shove. So it's, it was Miami Rage was a dope squad.
Yeah. So I want to pick back up in the lineage, and I know we kind of got a little off track, but just keep working through the story and then we'll get up into the present moments with Damage and everything like that.
All right. So basically, Miami Effect, was my stop back into pro, and that's when I stayed pro for the rest of my career. After that, it was almost like, I don't know if I was bad luck or something, but I'd go to some pretty iconic teams, and it'd be 1 or 2 seasons, and then the whole team would just fall apart. So those teams would be like, I went to Rage. While I was playing 7-man with Rage, I was playing X-Ball with the Jacksonville Warriors, and then both of those teams pretty much just like turned into nothing after a couple years. And Rage was like successful at that point. I left them because I was tired of playing for 2 different teams. I wanted to play X-Ball and 7-man for the same team, so I could stay as committed to that one team as possible. And when I did, like, they tried, I'm not saying it was me again, but they tried rebuilding a couple years, and it wasn't working out for them. So I went to Jacksonville Raiders, which was playing pro 7-man and pro X-Ball. Docs Raiders is what most people know it by. And right before that, I did an event on Strange, thinking like, all right, this is going to be my team. Like, all my friends are on Strange. I played like California with them, I played sweet, and I did not like playing with them. Like, I immediately after the event was just like, I don't quit paintball teams. I told you this was like I'm trying it out. I can't play with you guys. And, it was just a weird team for me. It didn't mesh well with like, what I thought a paintball team should be like. It was more like a fraternity type team, I felt like, and that wasn't for me. So I jumped over to the Raiders, which is actually already stealing all of Strange's players anyway. Like, that's where they got Holiday, Brian, like Paul Everett. Everyone was already going over to the Raiders anyway. So I went to them, and we practiced Rage a lot, which was kind of weird because I just left them. And, so we had some pretty gnarly practices. That team was good. Like, we had Billy Bernaccia, Thomas Mantoni. So we were flying people in and everything. But Doc was really loyal to a lot of the guys that he brought up through the ranks. So the team was kind of always just missing something. We didn't win anything, but we were always like right there. and now, a lot of the current Damage players are from, Raiders now.
That was a
So,
great
either way,
organization. That
it was
team
nice, and
great.
Doc treated everyone like amazing. Like, rest in peace. Like, such a good dude, man. Like, sucks that he passed away. But like, it was cool to see someone in paintball not take any shit from anyone. Like, it didn't matter if you were his sponsor, if you were another team. Like, if you said the wrong thing, like, he was more than willing to let you know that you were wrong, and he was happy about it. So like, I was with them, and then it was funny. Like, I was in a 7-man. It was at a 7-man event, and I remember being in the shower in my hotel room and hearing Art's voice from Rage in my hotel room. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, I jump out of the shower, I'm like wrapped in a towel, and I look out, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, hey man, you ready to play for me again? Like, I just bought the Raiders pro spot. And I'm like, what? And Doc's like, hey man, I got to be done with this sport. Like, I'm not feeling it anymore. So I'm selling the team, or I'm selling the pro spot and getting out of the sport. I'm like, oh wow, all right. So then I talked to Philly, like, that event while I was there. A lot of those guys were there, playing 7-man, and they're like, yo, let's go, like, come try out. And this is back to that, like, I'm sure you guys feel the same way where you've made it now. Tryouts are weird once you get to this level. It's like, all right, do I really need to try out, or like, can I just, be on the team? Because, there's a lot of negotiation that goes into play when you're going from pro team to pro team. And so like, they're like, basically, come fly out to Pittsburgh and you can try out for, Philly. I'm like, nah, like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not spending any money to come try out. There were still pro teams all around. Rage was still around, everything like that. And Daryl called me up again, and he was just like, hey man, remember back in the day when I coached you? Like, I still think you're better than ever now, blah, blah, blah. I got you a plane ticket. You got to get on a flight next week, blah, blah, blah. Here's your time. Just didn't even ask me, bought me a plane ticket. And I'm like, hey, I'll be there. And it was another one of those tryouts. Like, I went there and it was just lights out. Like, couldn't miss a shot. Like, winning one-on-one so fast that they told me, like, I had to stop shooting for like, 20 seconds and wait and let the person make their moves, and then we play. And
hold on, run that back.
Dude, it was insane. Like, it was one of those weekends where you just point your gun and people die. Like, and they wanted people to try out, and like, they're like, hey, you got to play this guy one-on-one. And it was insane. Like, I would just start, like,
they gave him they gave him a 20-second head start.
Like, they basically say, don't shoot until you're shot at 10 seconds, blah, blah, blah. It was special neuro, like, running it. And it was just funny. It was like like I said, one of those weekends where it was like, didn't matter which way my gun pointed, someone was walking off the field, especially off the break. So like, I was excited. That was, they just brought Fedorov like the year before. So I was like, man, this would be really cool to play with this guy. Barely spoke any English at that point. Like, it was insane. Like, just a straight real Russian. Now he's American Russian, but yeah, it was wild. And then, so I finally got to play with like all my buddies again, Ryan Moorhead and Tim Montresor, all of them. Like, so I was super excited for that year. And that was like, I'd say that was like right before my peak of paintball, where like, I was sweet. Like, I loved it. Like, I knew I was good. All those guys were good. Like, we were all young 20s. Like, that's when you're like the most athletic. Like, I loved everything about it. We had a team house, which, the only other experience I had in a team house was Arsenal. And that team only lasted one event with me before I flew home and found out the dude got arrested and the team was like, done for. So like, now I get to be on this team with a team house. Like, super
that was
excited
iconic.
for it.
Jason, what you're talking about right now was iconic at that time. This time period that you're talking about with that crew of people in the house, and just how much dedication you guys had for the craft was so iconic. I'll never forget that. That whole lineage and that storyline of you guys, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and we got so close. Like, to this day, like, Joey Blute will ask me sometimes, like, what do I think of Damage? Like, did it take over the Philly role? And like, it still hasn't. And I've really put it on like the age difference. Like, that was when I was young and reckless and could do whatever I wanted.
Right.
Like, we were playing 3 different series. Like, you're playing 7-man, X-Ball, and Millennium. So it's like, that's a lot of time to bond. And like, back then too, like, the iPhones were garbage, right? Like, I had to get an iPod video thing, whatever it was, and upload movies to it, because in Europe I didn't know what to do for like laying in bed. Like, it was so confusing. So like, you had to talk to each other basically. You couldn't just stare at your phone. And like, that was the party stage. Like, when you party with people, you definitely start to get closer with them. And like, I'm not a party guy now, right? Like, I'm a family guy, but like, back then it was a team house full of a bunch of young 20-year-olds, all in their testosterone as high as it can go. So it was an epic lifestyle.
There's something about that. There's some, alcohol is a vehicle for everyone to hop in and enjoy the ride together, right? I remember my very first event with Russian Legion in 2012. It was that Galveston event, right? The one that got rained out, got canceled.
Yeah.
And I think we played 2 prelim matches, and then the storm came through and the event got canceled. I remember Saturday night, Kirill, and the Russians, they're a very professional organization. You show up, you're there to work. You arrive 2 weeks early before the events. You grind. You have a fitness coach. At night, you go to the gym. You perform different exercises. You get tested on your fitness. It's not a team that you would ever think that you can have a beer at dinner with, right? So Saturday night, I remember Kirill comes back. He's got a couple bottles of vodka, and he's like, "Okay, tonight we're going to drink together. We're all gonna have a good time. We're gonna drink." And everybody had a couple cocktails, man, just had a good time. And I feel like the team got so close from having that experience. They were trying to blend, because that year they had me, obviously an American. We had Jason Wheeler from, England, and Axel Gaudin from France, and then the Russians. So it was like really hard to blend. And there's definitely something about, going out and having a good time with your team or your coworkers or whatever it is that brings you guys a lot closer. And that was like a turning point for the team. It was definitely something. So that whole team house philosophy is so old school. That was how Dynasty came up, right? That's the Dynasty way. It's like, you're like a fraternity, bunch of brothers that are together all the time. You are having a good time. And I think it translates to the paintball field. It really does,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, you have to see each other at your highs and your lows. So like,
Sure.
there's people in there, like, you find out who's bipolar and who's not, who can handle alcohol, who can't, like,
Yeah.
like what's weird about this guy, and how can I look past it? Like, how can we still be
Sure.
friends, but let him go do his thing. And
Yeah.
you really bond. It's not just a couple hours in a hotel room together, seeing who can fall asleep the fastest, and who wants first shower. It's a lot different at that point, especially the Philly house. There was only 2 showers in the whole thing. So like,
Oh my God.
it got wild. Like, you had to really be friends with each other. And we always had other people come over and stuff. So it was really cool. And
Who was in that house? Name all the people that lived in there.
so the ones that actually lived there were, and this was different at all periods and times, but these are the people that like actually lived there, would have been Tim Montresor, Jason Trozen, Fatty, Craig, Daugherty, and then Chad George, Sam Monville, Fedorov, like all those guys have lived there at one point or another. And then the rest of us, like all the flying guys there was like one room with 4 beds in it. And there was, Ryan's room had like a little bed in it. So like, at any point in time, there was, 12 guys in this house, like for a whole, few days. Nuts. And sometimes people would stay for a whole week. Like, it was one of the first times I actually went to a practice and stayed for weeks, like all the way to the tournament, just to hang out with everyone and, have fun, work out, and go shoot real guns and stuff. So, it was really cool to be able to experience that. And, that it's one of those things too. It's like they ended up, Smart Parts ended up opening up a paintball field. They built a room just for Call of Duty. Like, we had 8 TVs in there, and like, you would just cycle through all the players, and like, it was just insane how close everyone got. And, that's the thing about like alcohol too. Like, I'm never one of those people that like, I hate alcohol and I don't love alcohol. Like, I'm in between. Like it's exactly like Marcelo said. Like, it's a vessel to have some fun on if you know how to handle it, right? And like, everyone gets involved in it. And if you look at like most of these paintball teams that strictly say no alcohol, I don't think I've ever seen a successful one. Like, they just don't have like that chemistry anymore. And I'm not saying go out there and get wasted or anything, but like, you got to find ways to bond. And like, rest in peace, man. But like, Tim Montresor, that's the reason he was loved by so many, because you got to see the real him. Like, he would have a beer with you. He would open up and talk to you. And, whether you were some like divisional player or you were, a high-end manufacturer for paintball products or anything else, like, he was there to like just be dead honest and real with you. And like, that's the one thing I learned from him when I was on Philly, was like, just open up and be yourself. And like, either the guys will love you or they won't, but either way, they'll learn to respect you. And that's why I feel like most people should do on teams, is just like, don't be the fake person, man. Like, don't do what you think that person wants you to do. Like, open up and be real. So if it takes a beer to do it, like, drink a beer, like whatever it takes. But when it's game time, go out there, laser focused and ready to win.
That's so true, man. And of course, 21 and over, all the laws and rules, yada yada. Be safe. But you're right, man. But you have to say that, right? Like, do it appropriately and be safe and
be safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's number one. But it does do something. And you know, you can really tell who's sitting at the table with you and who's not pretty much over a brew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, okay, I pretty much see this whole entire situation now. It just cuts through all the BS, and you're able to, you know, like you said, like, God bless him, rest in peace, Tim. Like he said, is just be you. Just, you know, cut the facade, cut all the acting, and let's just, you know, either we're gonna do this, we're gonna be a paintball team, and we're gonna win events, or we're not. I need to know who we got here, you know, and then let's all do it. Let's be who we are and get out there and get it done. That's amazing, dude. I love that.
Dude, Jason, so during all this, when did your brother start playing, and how what's he doing when all this is going on? Because I mean, you guys are there's no better brother duo in the league. I Yep, nope,
No,
can't think of one. You know,
yeah,
and you guys are just that's so cool. I've always been really envious of that. My little brother, well, I have two little twin brothers, and they both got into the game for a little bit when we were younger. One of them pursued it a little further and actually had a lot of potential, but he just ended up kind of falling off. But I always thought like that'd be so cool. And
yeah.
you know, Jacob is a beast out there. So what's going on with
Yeah.
Jacob during all this? What was that looking like?
So for him, like I'd say, like exactly what I was saying about personalities, like he's just like I am, like he's going to be the best. So, you know, a lot of people fall off, like their younger siblings fall off because if the older siblings already made it and reached the top, like it's hard, right? Like those are some
Yeah.
big shoes to fill.
Hmm.
And he was never that guy. Like, you know, I didn't treat him like, you know, other guys on, you know, the teams that I was coaching. Like I beat up on him. I picked on him, made his drills harder, everything. Like I said, I wanted to be better at paintball too. So that was my, you know, live target basically at all times. So around the era of Philly is when Jacob was able to start playing paintball and getting shot at like, you know, 280 feet per second to 300 without, you know, crying about every time he got hit. Right. So
What's the
at
age
that
gap
point,
between you guys?
we're 8 years apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like we're 8 years apart. So, you know, like around when I was like 18 to 20 is when I'd say like, you know, I started getting him really into paintball. And you know, it's like, so it all started off like, you know, I'd make him get shot a few times, like, and we would test it. Like we'd go to a certain distance. I'd shoot him. If he cried, he wasn't ready. And around the last year of Philly was like when I started, you know, introducing him to people like in high end paintball, like Philly guys and everything. And I'm like, you know, this is my brother. Like, I really think he should, you know, get a tryout eventually, blah, blah, blah. Let him work his way through the divisionals. He was already killing people. You know, he was like 12 years old, like something stupid, like way too young, but like, you know how it is with family, like he's going to be
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And I was never like, let's bring him in right now. Like I was just like, keep an eye on him because I don't want to show him favoritism. Like I want you to see him and see what he can work on, that kind of stuff. So, you know, eventually Philly folds apart. Jacob's already working his way through like Division 2, I think it was. And he was just, you know, killing people. Like his shot was just so stupid. He was so little, like, you know, no one could stop him basically. And so I go to Damage, and, you know, right away, I tell Joey, I'm like, hey, I'm working with these kids, you know, check out these two kids, Keith Brown and, you know, Jacob Edwards. Like, you know, obviously Jacob's my brother. Keith is, you know, my brother from a different mother. And I was like, you got to see him. Like one's on the snake side, one's on the Dorito side. It's awesome. And he's like, all right, well, this team you're coaching, let's get him out here on like off weekends and practice against them. So it worked out really good. Like, you know, we're all from Orlando. Tampa guys are from Tampa. So I'd bring these guys over and play. And eventually quite a few guys from that team actually made Damage's practice squads. And some of them went and played like some 7-mans with us and stuff. But, you know, so Joey always kept his eyes on Jacob and Keith. And we actually tried pulling Jacob the Phoenix event that we had Frank Connell play with us instead. And Joey was just like, nah, man, he's too young. And you know, Jacob and Keith pretty much ran stuff in the division that they were in that event. And I had Joey over there watching them. They didn't win the event. They ended up falling short, but like the two kids alone were just crushing people. And I was like, look, we got to bring them at least to a practice against other pros. So you can see, like, I'm not, you know, no one's showing them favoritism. Like the kid's good. So we ended up pulling Jacob first. You know, he came to a practice. I think his first practice was actually against the Russians. And like, he was just stunting out. Like, you know, his gunfighting was just absurd at that age.
Nice.
I think he was 14 as like when we brought him up. So, you know,
Wow.
his first event with us was Huntington Beach. And I remember, like, no lie, first match in 7-man, someone like a grenade goes off and I just see 5 guys walking off and it's just Jacob and I, and we're playing a team that should never beat us. Like, I don't remember the team name, but like they should never beat like a high-end pro team like Damage. And I look and Jacob's got like a hit in his side and I'm like, you're no way we're going down. First point your pro like career like this. So I see the ref running to pull Jacob, and I just lay the ref out like rage style paintball, like drop the ref, and I'm like, yo, we got to do this as fast as we can. And Jacob and I just like start trying to shoot everyone coming. Didn't even stand a chance. 2-on-7, we got mopped up. Like I definitely got shot more than I shot the ref, whatever. But like it was iconic. I was like, we're not going out your first point in professional paintball, just walking off the field, getting, smacked up off the break. So we took a lot of people with us, and it was a sweet first point. But then watching him like hold his own, like 2-on-7, I was like, all right, like he's ready to be here. Sure, and from that game on, man, like the kid made it. Like I think when we won both series and we beat the Russians at Cup, I think he was 15 years old, and like he was a starter. Like, it was awesome. And like, it's crazy. Like when you're looking at someone, like at that point I'm 23 years old, and I'm like looking over and I feel as confident with him as like, if I was playing with, Brian Smith next to me or something like that, who's older than I am. And the reason I actually focused on like him and Keith and was willing to bring them up when they were so young is because, like the All-Americans gave me that chance, but I wanted to be different than them. Like I wanted to say, I trust these guys, like they belong here. So like when we went out and we started winning with these 14 and 15-year-olds, like on the team, I was like, that's what I wanted to be when I went to the All-Americans. Like I wanted them to look at me and, put age aside and just know like, hey, that guy can shoot anyone coming to get him. And like, so when we won World Cup, that shit was insane. Yeah, it was exactly the same thing. Wow. And like no BS. Like it was in my head from the time, Jacob could hold a paintball gun. Like I was like, he'll be doing the exact same thing I will. And like, I'm going to be the guy that was like, the guy that was already in pro trying to bring him up. And, it was nice having Keith there too, because like now I see both of them. And like, I mean, anyone can say like, everyone would say like they're a threat on the field, like either one of them. And like, I get to be like, yeah, I helped create those. Like, wow. Even if I'm like even if I'm a good paintball player, like my goal was to always bring more youth into paintball, like keep Florida paintball alive. And, even when Keith went to Impact, like, I know he thought like I was going to be furious with him. Like I was never pissed. Like even when Jacob left and went to Heat for, half a season or whatever, like I was never mad. Like I've been there, and I felt like they should get away from me. Like they need to go experience paintball without me, answering all of their questions for them, like looking at their flights, walking them from flight to flight, like let them experience it. And it's been an awesome thing to see.
Wow. There's something in the water, dude. Something in the water out there with you boys. I mean, to have both of you be that young brothers, both accomplishing what you guys did at that age is pretty nuts. Your parents are probably like, who are these guys? How did this happen? How did this come to fruition?
I think it's just having the parental support too. Like I tell young kids that all the time. Like if your parents don't believe in you playing paintball, like honestly, like no matter how good you get, it's going to be a hard road. Yeah. Like if your parents believe in you and they want to support you, it's so much easier. Like, and it's crazy because like you got to be willing to miss all the proms, all the homecomings, right? Fly in with no sleep and take a final. Like you got to be willing to take all these crazy situations and, just try to like, understand that paintball, like you got to play it because you love it, not for money or anything like that. Like that's right. As long as your parents can see that and support that, like that's the big thing. Like my dad was always the one that, I played baseball and I was actually really, really good at it. And, I sat down with my dad and I was asking him, I was like, look, you put me through travel baseball my whole life growing up, like endless hours, money, everything, but I'm going to tell you right now, my love is paintball. And he was like, all right, that's enough said. Like if you don't want to play any more high school baseball, then so be it. And, he was I could see he was upset, right? Because he was still figuring out the paintball thing. But like, I was just like, this is what I love. Like, I don't care if I make $10 a year. Like, I want to do this. I will find a way to make a living. And he was like, look, man, do what you love, because like, I'll tell you right now, like, he's like, I enjoy doing construction, but I don't know if I love it. And he's like, I make good money, but I want you to do what you love. And so follow your heart. And I think from the day that he saw, like, I was extremely happy playing professional paintball, and maybe the first autograph I signed in front of him, maybe that's what it was. Like, he didn't even question Jacob at all. Like, just continued pushing Jacob whichever direction he wanted to go.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's all about the community. You got to have, I know that myself, I would not be sitting here talking to you guys if it wasn't for my dad and my mom, doing what they did to support me when I was a young kid. I couldn't drive when I was 13 years old or 12 years old. They had to help me, get to the field, or honestly, some of my teammates, my dad would just have them pick me up, and then I would get there that way. But it's all about that community. You have to have the support of your community. Otherwise, it'll be a really tough road, especially with something like paintball. It's kind of expensive,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I love watching what you guys with your family has done. I truly do. Like I said, it's kind of close to home because I was in the game with my brother, and I had that vision of what could come of that, and it was just it's fantastic to see you guys out there living it. But Jason, hey, I want to talk to you a little bit too about your position and being a back player. I see you're constantly doing videos on social media that are incredibly informative. I watch them all. Actually, I coach a team out of New York. I'm pretty heavily involved with them. And I always come up with really cool drills for them to do. We go through a series of different things, but I was going out there like, hey, you see Jason's drill. Like, can we do this? And I was like, I'm in charge this weekend, man. What do you want to bring Jason in? Bring Jason in then, but I did already see it. And you have tons of awesome content that you've been putting out. So, and it's all free too, which is really cool. Obviously we have BKI. It's a platform that you can sign up for, and we have a huge library of different drills. But I love that you're doing all this stuff for free for the community, just honestly, just to give back, which is amazing. It's incredibly valuable. But your position, you're widely considered, at least in the pro ranks. I know for sure all the players know you're one of the best back guys there is. You're going to shoot people off the break. You understand the game. You can quarterback situations. Your communication is great. You know what needs to happen, and you could also attack when that time comes. How did you evolve into that role? Because I think that's one of the hardest roles to play on the field because you're responsible for so much.
So honestly, I think I kind of fell into that role around the Miami Effect era. Maybe right after that, when I went to the Raiders, like I was always an attacker. Like I always wanted to be a front Dorito guy, go up the center. Like I love the middle. The middle is probably like one of my most favorite spots to play. But I think it was more so like my paintball IQ. Like I was always really good at like reading the situation, figuring out how to break the game open. And then, just honestly being a good one-on-one player, like teams would be like, hey man, we need you alive when it comes down to it. Let's move you back here. And, I would say right now, I think it's actually like one of my biggest flaws because now, like, especially when we did the rebuild of Damage, I was always afraid to die. So like I went from being a quick back player that would attack fast and, take the risk to basically being too stand still. Like I'm not like taking the risk anymore. I'm being too safe, basically, is what I would say. So this year is actually one, like I started doing it at Cup, but like this year that's the one thing that I've been like hyper focused on is like, all right, I need to be a little bit more selfish, which is that's what used to make us successful. Like I was always fast to fill out and push the strong side or fill out and protect the weak side, not just sit in the back center and try to, story time and hold the game out for as long as I could and wait for the gunfight to come to me. But yeah, so I really think like as a back center player, you have to have a lot of the strengths of being able to attack on either side of the field. Even if you're a bigger guy or if you're a small guy, being willing to play any position that at any given time and having confidence being down on bodies. Like I look at like a 3-on-5 the same as a 5-on-5. Now, if it's 1-on-5, obviously like, balls to the wall, try to do what you can, but you got to be willing to lose your guys off the break and still like hunker in, fight it out until you can even it up and then, make moves off of that. And I think that every team captain or coach, team manager just always saw that in me. Like it wasn't my go-to position. Like even when Jacob came to the team, the World Cup we won, I was actually like, I don't want to play back center. Like I want to play the Dorito side with my brother. Like it was crazy. Like when we went to World Cup, I knew we were winning. Like I was like, I want to be next to him when we win. I want to be right behind him or right in front of him. And, like Coach Paul was like, sure, whatever. Like, I don't tell your line what to do anyway. You do it. And he's like, just go out there and tell them where they're going. And I'm like, all right, awesome. And so like, we would just have Carthy sit there and dump a bunch of paint in the back center. And like, I got to play with Jacob on the Doritos. But the next year was successful for us. And I got moved right back to the back center just to basically be a joystick for the team. And I think that's one of those things, like you got to have a guy back there that's willing to, fill the weak spots, attack on the strong side when needed, know when to stay put, know when to attack, like always look both ways before filling out. And it's not a job for everyone. Like I've actually worked with Jacob playing back there a lot, and it's just not his strong suit. Like he can shoot people off break all day. He'll win one-on-ones left and right, but his joystick status is just not there. Like
joystick
he'll
status.
basically tell you, after the game, he's just going to be like, you're a fucking idiot. Like you messed up. You're terrible. I said, go there and you didn't listen. Like next time I'll do it. And like, that's the difference of like, that young, egotistical, hot-headed, like, person that plays with just hate 100% of the time. And then like, basically a quarterback. And like that, I've always just pictured myself as a quarterback on the team. And like I said, I think every paintball manager sees that like right away.
Sure. Of course.
I love that. Sorry, go ahead, Mars.
Yeah, no, I think the game has evolved too, though. Like you no longer have a traditional back center, right? So it's even trickier for the threes now, because it's like sometimes there's literally not even a back center bunker. It's either the 2 on the snake side or the 2 on the Dorito side, and the 3 is almost up the center, or it's strange. The fields have just evolved. There's not like, traditional fields, you would have a back center with wide open lanes on each side, and you could choose what side you were going to control, and you would fill to the side that you lose somebody on. Now it's like even more intricate, right? It's much more difficult.
And I would never take credit for like being the guy that did that, but like I remember going to like very specific teams and being like, hey, I don't mind shooting from the back center and I'll try to stay alive, but like, sometimes I need to attack and I want to have fun too. And like, I want some glory in my life too. And like, I took it as like a very versatile role. And, it was crazy because people would be like, hey man, you're a back center player. And like, I was like, nope, absolutely not. I'm an insert. Like I would just tell myself like all the time, I'm an insert player. Like I didn't lose, 80 pounds to sit in the back center. Like I want to be an attacker.
Well,
and, like now.
That comes from your IQ, right? I mean, you have to know when to make the moves. And for every pro paintball player, you're an everything player. You're exactly what I need to be. You need to be in every moment that I need you to be it. You know what I mean? And that comes from the IQ, knowing when to be which player. It's a very difficult thing to figure out, and it takes many, 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 many pro years to figure that kind of stuff out. What's the best advice you could give someone to kind of fast track figuring that kind of shit out?
Just honestly, always play hyper aggressive, try to push into the guns, try to, put yourself in the most uncomfortable situation and be comfortable losing, mostly at practice. Like don't do it in a tournament until you've, pretty much mastered it. But like try to put yourself in the worst case scenarios at practice. Like if it's, 1-on-4, don't look at your coach and say, blow the horn, like play it out. Like try to figure it out. Like, can you win? Yeah. Like, did your gun go down? Like, are you breaking paint? Like, try to learn to squeegee faster. Like, it sucks, but like, figure it out. Like, did you go out there with one squeegee and it's ruined and you need another one for this one-on-one? Like, that's why you should carry 2. And like, I always just tell people, like, put yourself in the worst case scenarios, like, especially at practice. Like, I'll do it sometimes on purpose. Like, I'll lose a whole Dorito side and I'll have 2 guys alive on the snake side. And to this day, I'll still fill to the snake side and try to flip the field, like, just to make it harder. Especially if it's just like a, regular off weekend or something like that. And try to like be very realistic with it too. Like if you get a hard bounce, like call yourself out, like, don't try to blame the other guys that are around you, especially if you're playing pickup paintball that weekend. Like look at, okay, obviously we lost this point, but like, what did I do to cause us to lose? Like, what could I have done to make us win? And honestly, just critiquing yourself is the only way to really get better at paintball and filming it. Like nowadays, man, it's so easy to film yourself playing. And like, you just see so much when it's on film. Like it's crazy what you could have done, what you should have done, what you did do that looked retarded and what looked awesome. And like, you'll pick up on those things. Like I even like, so I film us doing those drills now that I've been putting out, and I'm not out there by myself. Like the other guys are there. And those dudes are all like, let me see my film. Let me see my film. Put it in a Google Drive. Like, I want to see myself. And I like that because like they're trying to learn from themselves, like what's going on. And these are guys that have been pro for, I don't know, 15 years. So it's like cool to see that.
Oh, it's pivotal. It's pivotal. You have to have that footage of yourself. I know, all last season, thank God for Victor Gamboa. Shout out to Big Vic. He's been taking care of us and filming, the team from the bird's nest up there. And he's done a tremendous job with that. But you have to have it if you want to see what's actually going on. Because when the game's over, everybody's like, yeah, man, I was doing this and looking this way, and you were doing this, and you're like, okay, we'll see, and then you go back and watch it and you're like, that's not what happened at all, actually.
It's crazy. All 5 guys shoot 3 guys each.
Yeah.
Like, I had no clue we played 5 on 15, but all right, good job.
Yeah, I know. I shoot everybody every game. I know that.
Yeah. I'm at least bonus.
Tyler's got him. At the very least. It is funny how adrenaline works on the body, right? You have total time dilation in a paint. Yeah. That's why film is so important. It's like, no, man, I literally just looked over for 2 seconds. I was right back on my zone. But then you see the film and you're like, damn, that's like 15 seconds. I was looking the wrong way, Yeah, film is crucial. We're always promoting having
Yeah.
some kind of film. You know, you definitely need that to analyze your situation.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
my favorite thing on film is communication, because people are like, dude, I told you that like 10 times. And you watch the film and they completely said the wrong thing like 10
Yeah.
times. And then you're like, all right, so you just lied to me. I don't remember. I don't remember saying that at all. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a funny one. I see it a lot with divisional teams where you can see the panic in their voice. They get into a good spot and they're trying to communicate where the other team is, and they're just calling the completely wrong codes and positions. And it's take a deep breath. Like, you want to have intensity in your movements, in your aggression, in your gunfighting. You want to have intensity there, but you want to have a sense of calmness in the mind. You know, they're two entirely different things. Like, your body needs to be intense, your movements need to be intense, but your mind needs to be calm. And it's a really tough thing for players to grasp. But that kind of panic in the mind, it makes you make mistakes. You know, you make bad decisions. You communicate the wrong things. You know, and yeah, it is funny to have film on that and watch players see it firsthand.
Yeah. It's so important, I think, for all teams. If you can have a buddy go out there, film you, anybody who can help, get some film on yourself. And you'll also be able to critique your own body movements as well, not just the team, but you'll see how you're playing and be like, oh, I need to make a little adjustment here, you know? So definitely get the camera out.
Totally. So, Jason, what's one of the number one things you would recommend? I'm sure you get this question quite a bit. I know it's one of the more common questions I get from players, and it's usually how to stand out at a tryout. You know, kids are often going to a tryout. You've worked with a lot of kids, groomed a lot of players to work their way up through the ranks. What's something that can make them stand out if they're going to a tryout, say this weekend?
So a couple things. Always, if you're gonna wear a jersey, wear your jersey with your name on it. Like, don't wear someone else's, because when you're like when the coach is looking down at a piece of paper that has the team, like the guy's names on it or the girls' names, and it's not matching, like that's terrible. Like, now you're getting a note wrote next to your name every time, like guy with HK Flower jersey or whatever it is, like whatever weird jersey they have, right? So it's like, all right, like don't do that. Wear your jersey with your name on it. Always be the first one to the field, first one to the meetings, first one every time that the guy hosting that tryout calls, like, be here in 5, like you need to be there in 3, like be there ready, waiting for him to walk over, and be the last one off the field. Like, hustle, pick up pods, like, do everything that basically stands out. Not like you're trying to brown nose, but like, it's
Effort.
always one of those things that a team manager looks at, and exactly, it's effort. Like, and this guy's hustling. Like, Kyle Berry, for instance, when I, started to rebuild the team, I only brought so many people out to this tryout, and like the kid ran to the air station, ran to the field, ran during the drills, ran to the air station, like just was always willing to get back because he did not want to sit the point, like he knew that if we had 5 on the board, he was going to sit. And, to this day, was Kyle Berry ready to go pro? Absolutely not. Were my choices limited? Yes. But even if I had a high budget or anything, I would have brought the kid on just to work with him, because like once you see that type of effort, like they're willing to put in the work to be a better paintball player. Another thing is, like, don't talk about your effort. Don't say you're going to hustle. Don't say you work out 5 days a week. Because if you say you work out 5 days a week and you're dying after 2 points, like, now you're a liar, right? Like, you're not doing it. You're going to have to like stay focused and tell the truth here. So like, I always tell people, just be as humble as possible. Take all the constructive criticism that you can, even if you know it's wrong. Because there's some paintball coaches out there that have no right being a coach. Like, they just don't.
Sure.
And you're probably better at paintball than they are. But if they tell you something, just take it with a grain of salt, listen to it, be respectful. That's the biggest thing, is just, try to be the most humble, most motivated person out there at all times.
All right. What's the timestamp on this one? That was a soundbite, brother. That was money.
We're at about an hour and 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
No, but that is so true, man. I mean, you just can't say it any better than that right there. That's tremendous. Yeah, you gotta be showing that effort. You gotta be there, and care about the process. That's what they want to see. They want to see some effort and some care about the process. Totally, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but if you want to turn me off at a tryout, start critiquing the other guys while they're trying. Start offering advice to the other guys trying out. I cannot stand when like you're like looking at this, you play a 3-on-3 and this guy is over here giving his buddy advice and like, or giving some random dude advice. Like, nah, like you don't even know if you're good enough to be on this team right now. Like, get away. Like, let me critique this guy.
I like that, dude. I like that. You've got the standard, and I agree with you actually on that. Sometimes I see people out there I'm like, dude, focus on you right now.
Yeah.
I appreciate people wanting to take time out of their day to help other paintball players, but there's a time and place for it. And yeah, especially if you're trying out for a team, you should just be in line. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. What can I be doing? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Whatever it might be, you need to be focused 100% lasered in. And what I like about what you said, Jason, is those are all things that you are in 100% control of. And it does not take experience to run and get pods. It does not take experience to hustle. It doesn't take experience to put in effort, right? These are all things that you can do today. Every single person listening to this show can go this weekend and apply those things now. You don't have to wait until you have the experience or capabilities to do it. It's stuff that you can do right now. And it makes a huge difference.
Yes.
It does.
Absolutely, man. Hey, so one of our Patreon followers actually has a question for you. Shout out to Stavi Beats. He wants to know how you balance being a pro player and a brand manager, with BK and Virtue, and how you juggle that.
It's not easy. So like
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me
Wow.
is at events. I love to watch paintball. I cannot stand sitting in a booth just selling product and shaking hands and kissing babies, but like it's my job, right? Like it pays the bills. So you just have to learn to, take the punch. And that's how I feel about it. At home, it's awesome. Like I work from home. So that was one of the biggest things for me, knowing like we were going to start having a family. I wanted to be here as much as possible and not have to do the daycare thing. And, Bunker Kings and Virtue has been great to me. Like they let me work from home. I go to events when they need me to go to events, whether it's NXL or not. I do a lot of the social media, which is, another reason I put out so many videos and stuff, because it's an easy win-win for me, because I get to go out and do drills. And then I also get to, watch myself, like I said, and I also get to put out a lot of information out there for everyone else. But it's just like any other job, like, as a pro paintball player and anything else, or if you were playing a different sport and you were still pulling orders at a warehouse or something, you just got to divide the time as perfect as you can. Like just for instance with you guys, like we've been trying to schedule this thing for weeks, months, like to get on here, because I've always wanted to do it with you guys. And
Dude,
it's just one of those things, like when the window opens, jump in. Like that's it's the same thing as I was saying about the tryout, like max effort. Like I don't care, maybe it's a 2-hour window, but instead of playing video games for those 2 hours, like I'd rather talk to you guys and get more paintball info out there.
Dude, that's what it's all about. More paintball.
And I mean, dude, we feel the same way. You've been an iconic player in the game for a long time, so we of course had to have you on the show. And got to shed light on Damage. Damage is such a sick team. We I'm a fan. Outside of those 3 or 4 days when we're actually at events, I'm a fan of Damage. You know what I'm saying?
Of course,
But you know how that goes.
Yeah. But yeah, Damage has been, shout out to Dave Baines. Me and Dave, when we came over and played, dude, I'll never forget. Rumsey El Yusuf took me to this like island in the middle of the ocean. This guy had a mansion. He's like Egyptian royalty, and I got to hang out with him when I was on your team.
That's
Rumsey's,
like legit, right?
Rumsey's insane.
Yeah.
So he's not like actually royalty. His dad, like owns a really, really awesome rehab facility here. Came over here with nothing and just built it from the ground, and he did extremely well. And Rumsey's willing to, work on his own things. Like he didn't just take over the family business. Like he's working his way up in a whole nother business. So it's cool. But yeah, Rumsey's one of those guys, like, man, I didn't believe it either. Like, I went to the house and I made sure, like, I'm one of those guys that like, I'm always trying to, joke around about it. And I'm standing in front of this like 12-foot door. And I'm just like, hey man, I'm at this little tiny brown house. Like, is this where you live? And he's like, if you're at the small house, it's not mine. Like he was completely confused. And then you just hear a garage door open behind some bushes, like 200 feet away. And it's him coming out of some weird, garage area. So it's a ridiculous place. Like Rumsey's awesome.
I felt like a rap superstar. Okay. It was like, there was like 6 of us or whatever. And he took us out. His house is on the ocean, like right there. It's huge mansion. And he took us out to this private island and we had beer pong going. I was single there, we were having fun and of age drinking. And it was just crazy, man. It was an insane time. But shout out to Damage. Yeah, you guys are iconic, dude. Amazing.
That's funny. So Jason, what real quick to kind of touch back on what you do, because this is a big thing as well for players, how to pursue a career in the game, right? Obviously, playing salaries aren't going to cut it, one, for your whole career. And even if you're at the peak of a playing salary, it's not much, right? We're talking 50 grand most from some of these high paying teams. So you have done a great job of making paintball your business. What does that look like? What exactly do you do for BK and Virtue? And first of all, major shout out to Virtue. Mike Newman is the man. I still keep in touch with that guy. Dude's
Yeah.
awesome. But what is it you do? How do you manage all of that? How do you make it work?
So yeah, I actually was working for CJ, and I wanted to always work in the paintball industry. Like I said, I own fields and stuff like that, but I never really got to see the back end of it. So when Virtue started to sponsor Damage, I would shed some ideas to them. They would share some ideas with me, and I started to like instantly fall in love with it. So like I went into talks with them and basically was like, I'd like to come work with you guys. What can we do? And eventually they hired me on, and it was basically like, show me what you can do type thing from there. And I've done all different types of roles for the company. And there was an opening basically to take over Bunker Kings. Like Max Lundquist was on his way out. I'm going to go focus on some life stuff. And they were like, hey, go work with Max until, whether he decides he's going to stay or leave, but learn, what you can from him and try to build this brand that we just purchased and make it into something. Because at that point, it was just packs. Like there was really nothing special about it. Like they just got into the goggles. The goggles did really well. But it was just, a lot of people looked at Bunker Kings and just thought strapless packs, like whatever. So they're like, go have fun with it. And, it was awesome because I was already doing the social media for Virtue and Bunker Kings and everything. So I stepped in and, immediately they made me a brand manager. Not too long after that, Max left. So I was, all alone. I've got like the, customer service reps, Chris and Mike still with Virtue. They all still help me out and, do what they need to do to get things done. Everyone's involved in product ideas and everything like that. But, it's cool to basically say like I get to manage it, like whether it's sales or if it's new product ideas, at least I have input in it. Like it's not always 100% received, right? Like I don't own the company, so I can't say we're not making this or we're going to make this in that color, but whatever I say gets heard out. And there's been some really awesome products that have been created from Bunker Kings that were almost 100% my idea, if not all my idea. And I got to test a lot of those things too. Like the control, I used it for a whole year basically before we launched it because loaders are scary. Like, we even had one little issue with the speed feed. The lid would sit perfect, but the speed feed would open up like, with not too much tension. And this is a loader that like I dove over triple stack hyperballs with, played in the rain, and like my speed feed never opened up, but I guess I'm just not a bad diver. I don't know. Like Jacob used it for half a season, never had it open up. Multiple other people in other countries used it, and this whole issue never happened. But like that's the thing for me. Like I get to run all these products through tests, feel confident about them before they're launched. And then the social media aspect, like, it's my face on the cover of everything now, right? Like, so I want it to be good. And that gives me that incentive to, not only hold like a really good, personality and, front for myself, but to also for the product. Like I want good products. And a lot of people know Virtue was a very colorful brand, right? Like they love their bright color loaders and masks. Or if you look at like Bunker Kings, Damage has always been a very dark team, whether it was dark brown, gold, black, blue. So like I've been able to create like a darker side of Bunker Kings, which I call the more athletic driven brand of the two. And it's been awesome to feel like that's my baby now.
Wow. So if I get this right, Virtue and Bunker Kings are this owned all by the same people, is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Virtue purchased Bunker Kings from the Lundquist brothers.
Amazing. Awesome. That's so cool what you're doing, dude. Not very many people can say that they've been able to do what you're doing in the paintball industry. And I know it's a dream of most paintball players to do that kind of stuff. So it's got to be a dream for you as well, come true, to be able to, be on the forefront of products and getting it all out there and introducing it all to the community. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to see it's like a race too. Like I swear, every time you think of a product, another company is about to launch it, or you launch a product and then you get a call from your buddy that works for another company. Like, dude, what are you like spying on us? Like we were making that, like what happened? So it's really cool to see that part because like, everyone's working, not with each other, but like everyone's got, very similar ideas to new products that are coming out. And anytime you make something, completely new, it just feels sweet. Like, especially if it's like a success. So, and I like to like, get feedback from people and stuff like that. So it's cool to, when you drop something good.
I gotta say, we haven't had anything completely innovative in a little while now. The community as a whole, right? Like things are getting better. All the companies are releasing a little bit better each year, but it's kind of like the iPhone. Like there hasn't quite been a phone that is like just blown away the previous one in a long time. I'm waiting for that technological plateau to be blasted through. You know, I think it's going to be a fun time for paintball. Just it hasn't quite happened yet, you know?
Yeah, the only thing that I would say would be like it's not going to affect us was MagFed. Like seeing MagFed get created was pretty awesome. Like I actually own one of those like MagFed AR-15 looking like paintball rifles.
Sure.
It's pretty insane. Like you know, if I was back to my younger self wanting to be a sniper, like dude, you can be a sniper now. Like the first strike round in a scope. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, those are badass.
But like for tournament scenes, there hasn't been anything just crazy new. Like, you know, I'd say the last thing that probably dropped was airless guns and speed feeds. Like,
dude,
that was probably the most iconic thing that dropped.
Speed feeds, bro. Those were that was insane. Game changer.
I got a game changer for you guys. Giving away free game here on the Play the Game podcast. This is $1 million idea. Go ahead.
Hey, whoa, hold on, Ty. What are you doing? We can talk about it.
No, it's so I had this vision of like, I was playing the gel blaster, right? I was playing with the gel blaster, running around, and I was like, why can't there be an electronic powered gun? You know? And I was thinking about that, something that is electronic powered and it powers the bolt to go. And then when I come in, I don't get air. I get a new battery that I slap on the thing. And then I can go and play and then I come back and I get a new battery instead of air. Do you know what I mean?
I'm curious. Yeah. Well, what's the reason for that?
I think that you can shave a lot of weight with the battery. I think that the battery technology is going to save a lot of weight with that whole mechanism. And I think it's a lot quicker and more efficient. And I don't know, it just seemed like a cool idea, something
it's like the way of the future. Yeah. I don't know if it would be more green. You know, that's the idea behind EV cars and stuff like that. I wonder, I'm curious. And like batteries, you have to have a pretty big battery. It's interesting. Yeah. And I've always thought of that too.
Play at home a lot more.
I've always thought of that too. Like if you got rid of the tank, you would have to replace it with something though, because
a stock.
I wouldn't want just like nothing there. You would need some kind of stock. But honestly, even a stock, like it would have to be a stock in the shape of a tank for me. You know, like I like the
for you now.
My tank. Yeah, you know,
like I would take a normal thin stock any day. I would love
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, I guess you're right.
Just cupping your armpit right there and your shoulder, you know?
Yeah. It'd be so easy to dive and everything without a tank too. Like, oh, it'd be so nice.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, I hope it doesn't happen because the tank people are like, what are you doing? You know? No. Yeah. Like my tanks.
Well, if the tank people were smart, they'd be the ones innovating to this, you know?
There you go.
If that is the future, then make the future, baby.
Yeah, and you could have like a charging station at your pit, and then you just come in and grab batteries, and it would be like a lithium battery, so they'd be light and hold a long charge, something nice, you know. But it was just a crazy idea that I had. I was playing gel blaster, and I was like, who knows? Maybe someday this will be what I'll play with, you know?
Yeah, because theirs are electronically powered, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Jason, what's the one team that you like to play the most?
Yeah.
Ooh.
The best games.
Yeah. Honestly, it'd probably be you guys. Like you guys are X Factor. Like even when X Factor wasn't, you know, as strong as they are now, like they were just always so bipolar. Like you never knew what X Factor you were going to get. And then, you know, with you guys, like I've always thought Dynasty has a very similar style of play to Damage. So like it always, I feel like Damage and Dynasty play Sunday Paintball on Friday. And so like it's a good look for whatever the finals could actually look like.
It's like a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
We love going out there and practicing you guys, man. It's always the best times going out there and playing against you and all the Damage guys. So we got to set that up for sure this season.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have quite a few events. Yeah, dude. You guys, what the hell, man? You guys own the league or something?
Yeah.
You get these events in your backyard?
Cash and checks.
And checks. Yeah, how do you feel about that? Damn, that's actually one. I know you got to get back to the family, so we won't keep you too much longer, brother. But how do you feel about what's going on with the league? We got some pretty major changes with the NXL, with the 4 majors, couple of minors, the Super Cup. I know they're calling it the Champions Cup. They originally were going to call it the Super Cup. We like Super Cup better, so we're just going to keep calling it the Super Cup.
I like Super Cup too.
Yeah,
Champions Cup sounds like Millennium.
It sounds lame, right? Yeah. Dude, we're gonna get it changed to Super Cup.
So I like it. I mean, I like a lot of the changes. Obviously, being a lower budget team still working their way back up for a high budget, 2 Florida events helps Damage significantly. Sure. So like that was a big thing for us. It was very easy to negotiate that into like our budget. There's still a lot of changes I would like to see, but like, the regional event thing, I don't know how well it's going to do. Like I've already heard people say like, California teams are going to play the WCPPL. And then, down here, there's the MVPS. And, so it's one of those things like hopefully the guys like in the lower divisions are willing to make that move. Right. And, the Champions Cup, it'll be the first year for, Super Cup. So hopefully like, it goes off with a hit. It makes a lot of sense. Like a lot of people didn't realize when Damage was rebuilding, I think this was 3 years ago, like we were having a solid season. We got a second, third in that year and went into World Cup sitting in third place. And you just didn't have a really good World Cup. But like that whole year, we only cashed out $5,000. So like, if you go to Super Cup and get any one of those places, you're going to make double your amount already. So I was all for Super Cup, especially if they went to 4 events and then that was a 5th event. Originally, when they were saying 5 events plus that one, I mean, like
that's what it
at least,
that's what it will be.
How much it costs to fly us around. So
that's what it will be. When we're not in a pandemic, to my understanding, is it will be 5 events in the Super Cup.
Are they doing 4 pods? Is that?
No, there's not confirmed yet. How do you feel about limited paint being the?
Dude, I love it. I push for 4 pods and loader every day. Yeah,
like, that's funny because you're someone that
shots are annoying. Yeah, sure. I hate shooting the amount of paint that I shoot. Like, if it's a field that requires 9 pods, I get pissed. If it's a field that requires 6, I like it. But like, I think every pack and every person was made for 4 pods. Like even, myself who is wider and bigger, 4 pods looks athletic. And it's very easy, like for statistics to be like, he shot, 25% of his paint. Like he's down to his last pod. Where like nowadays, man, like this one guy can hold 2 people in for 8 minutes and he's just shooting a bounce shot the whole time. I hate that. And like, I feel like not only the 2 pod thing I thought was dumb. Like people were just running around missing each other, stuff like that. But 4 pods is just so perfect. Like any day that any of us go to a regular weekend at any paintball field, I guarantee you we all carry 4 pods. Like it just feels normal.
Dude, you just made some huge points there that I'd never really thought about. The quarter system, how you can, he shot 50% or he shot 3/4 of his paint. I like that. That's innovative. And I agree with you. Like typically I run with like 6 is my maximum. 6 is my max. If it's a shooter's field, I have 6, but I like to get to work. I'm not trying to be in the back. I'm trying to be up in the shit, So 4's cool with me.
I like it too. Like if you're like a team manager for divisional teams, like it's super easy to budget and say like, hey, we're going to play, 30 points at practice. This is how much it's going to cost because you have to have this much paint. Where like nowadays, man, a layout drops and my head just goes nuts. I'm like, oh, I need to get a pallet. Like I got to get a pallet of paint for this practice. Like how are we going to play with, 40 cases? Like it's impossible. So like, I feel like, parents would like it better too, because they'd be able to say, this is how much money you need every weekend to play paintball.
Interesting.
Yeah. I enjoyed it in Europe, the 4 pods. It made the game fun. I'm someone who's kind of forced in that position sometimes where if the field asks for it, I got to carry a ton of paint. Yeah. And it does kind of suck. If you don't have to carry it, it's nice. You can shoot, you can make your moves. It's more athletic. I agree. I like it. I wouldn't be opposed to that. You did lead on. You said there's some other changes that you would like to see made. Let's talk about those.
Yeah. So big ones for me would be like the way field layouts are done now and the bunkers. Like I think it's hideous. Like I still don't even understand why there's pins or fingers on the field. Like I get it when it was a thin X and it, they would make the X out of it. But like how has that bunker still been a part of the paintball fields? Like why have we just not gotten rid of those? Because you take those out, like lanes open back up, moves become harder. And I still think there's just too many big bunkers and too many bunkers. Like I hate seeing a guy make a move and people are like, man, that was a really great move. And I'm like, absolutely not. No one can shoot him. Like totally, he's just running into this big bunker and diving to the right. Like back in the day, and it's not even like long back in the day, just a few years ago, like you had to learn to edge. You had to learn to run and shoot. You had to pick your battles. Like, man, I get shot in the side sometimes and I look over and that kid has no right to shoot me. I'm just like, how did you get from that bunker to that bunker? Like behind this big block. Like I hate it.
Big facts, dude. I hate when there's layout. I think
dude, we need to get you a hate shirt. We should all wear hate shirts.
I think paintball, the games have been really exciting. You look at all the finals in the last couple of years, they're high scoring. So I understand their reasoning in a way. But to me, it really bothers me when a player that has no business, exactly like you said, he can just close his eyes and run. and get rewarded with a 3 or 4 pack. They've essentially taken the wall and made it on all sides of the field. What I
Yeah.
feel like would be amazing, because I think the fields have been fun. I think they've been a little more seven man esque, right? But there's too many big bunkers. There's 6 big modular bunkers, right? I think
Yep.
every event they should just choose 4 of them. You know, you always take 2 off. I think that would be a great, easy solution. The local fields wouldn't have to get a new bunker kit. You know, they have the pieces. They wouldn't have to go and buy a whole new set. You just take 2 of those big bunkers off each event, and I think it would open everything up and make it so much,
Yep.
so much better, you know?
Yeah, take some of those out and the fingers out, and like it would be sweet. Like that would be, it's not anything crazy, it's not a huge change.
Right.
But like even just for photographers and videographers and everything like that, like it opens up, better area for them to get multiple people in photos. You can see more stuff. And honestly, man, like, I've talked to like some of the guys from the Russians, and I think they're the first team that's really started doing it. Impact's another one of those teams that I watch do it, but a lot of teams play the refs nowadays, man. Like you look at a field layout and you're like, look at this alley right here. There's no ref getting me before I bunker this guy.
Yep.
Like it's impossible.
Exactly.
And there's just so much stuff for them to look around and look through. Like they honestly need to get some kind of deer stands or something, some scaffolding, and put 2 refs up there and just let them, use a radio and call out hits. Cause like the eye in the sky sees way more than the dude sitting on the sideline getting pelted with paint. And it's like, there's just so many small things that we could do to make it better. And I feel like I've talked to Tom Cole a lot about these, and he's always willing to, hear me out. So like, I don't know how far those things go, but I know multiple people have the same feeling on certain like things. So, hopefully some of these changes happen. I know it's impossible to do it all at once, but it seems like little by little they've been listening. Like I know there was more talk about blind layouts, which I'm a huge fan of, because, it sucks to schedule 3 weeks in a row, 2 practices and an event. And then, where you could, honestly play one weekend, take a weekend off, play another weekend, and then go to the event if it wasn't like actual layout releases. So it'd be a lot easier for scheduling and people who have, important jobs on the weekends.
Very interesting. Now we love to hear your take on that, dude. And I think that, like you said, the NXL has come leaps and bounds, and I think we're so close, man. This thing that we've been working on for so long is at its peak right now. It's doing better than it ever has. But I agree, there is a lot of bunkers on the field. If you took some of those pins out, it would for sure make it a lot harder to move, which I think you need to earn those. You shouldn't, like you said, just be getting lit up in the side because this guy can waltz down either side of the field,
Yeah. The fields have been insane. I'm happy the wall's gone, but like Marcelo said, there's still too many large bunkers.
It's still there.
Stupid. Every single event was blurred together. Every field layout played the exact same. Shoot a guy and bunker the guy in front of you and play 3-on-3. Like,
Exactly.
It was dumb. So I'm super excited that thing is gone, but there's still a few changes that need to happen to the fields.
Yep. Hey, are you obviously shout out to Tampa Bay Damage? Are you in Tampa, or where do you live at?
Yeah, I live like right on the outskirts. It's called Valrico. It's like Brandon area. So yeah, awesome. I live closer to Lakeland now for practice. I moved. I hated driving across the bridge, so I tried to move to this side as soon as I could.
Dope. Awesome. What is something that inspires you to keep going and like being the best paintball player you can possibly be out there?
So there's multiple things. Like honestly, one is my brother. Like if he's not a better gunfighter than I am now, like I just still want to be as good, if not better than him. Like I don't want him to take that title from me just yet. So like when we shoot each other, it's always like you can tell each one of us are keeping score. Like, we're both keeping score. Like, all right, I got you that time, or you got me this time. Another one, like now, honestly, is seeing my daughter out at the field, like how much fun she has with it. And like, I've got this huge banner behind me. And like, before we go to bed, she's like, "Oh, Daddy, you're paintballing." Like, I want to go paintballing. So like that kind of stuff gets me. Now I'm having a boy, so I'm stoked for that.
Dude, congrats.
I grew up with like, thank you. I grew up with my parents being super good at softball, like, slow pitch softball. Like my dad played professional slow pitch softball.
Oh, wow.
So like I had, basically like multiple uncles, that I would say like, they're just his teammates, but they were family in my mind growing up. Right. So like, I look at my teammates like that with my kids now. So like, when Tim was here, he was Uncle Tim, or like, they see these people and they're their friends now. So like, that's another thing. Like I like keeping the dream alive for them. And then my last reason for like, doing it is there's just still not a good amount of youth that have reached the potential of pro in Florida. Like, there's the Kings now or whatever, but like, when I was playing, there was multiple professional paintball teams, and at least there was like a team that you knew was longevity, like was going to be around forever. I still have a fear that if I decide like, hey, I'm going to retire, like damage is done. Like most of it sits under my, attention span. Like I take care of it. So, I'd be afraid to let Florida paintball die.
Yeah. Well, dude, thank you. Shout out to Florida. Let's go, Florida. We want to see that booming and thriving for many years to come. And we know that with you and your camp out there, that's not a problem because you guys are always working, man, and always pushing the future of this game forward. And we commend you on that for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely, brother.
Marshy, you got any other questions for my man?
I think I'm all questioned out, man. I know our man's has to get back to the fam, like I said.
Yeah.
But
Dude.
like I guess one thing is where can the listeners keep up with you? Are you going to continue to do these videos? Are you planning on, working with any schools in the future? Maybe we got to get you in some BKI stuff, bro. Your stuff's good.
Talk to them about it for a little bit, but I don't know where it went. But the biggest thing for me is my Instagram. Like, so Facebook maxes you out. So like, I can't add anyone else on like the Facebook page. I have like one of those stupid athlete pages on Facebook, but gets minimal attention.
It's
so
so
the biggest
lame.
thing is Instagram.
Facebook stifles your attention. They want you to pay for advertisement so that the people that follow you can see your content. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like,
Zuckerberg.
So I'm like 100% Instagram guy now. So like my, handles like JasonFK13 all together. That's the easiest one for me. Like I said, I run the Bunker King and stuff like that. So like I live on Instagram basically. So if you ever need me, that's the fastest way. Cool. Facebook takes me days like that. I'll let that inbox get nice and full before I decide to go back to it.
Totally.
And
so hold on,
definitely follow me on Instagram because I'm at like 9,000. Like I need 1,000 more to
Let's
get my
go.
10,000 spot.
Yeah.
The 10K is big because then you could swipe up. You have to swipe up.
I know.
Hey, PTG listeners. Hey, you know what? Actually, dude, we've been doing some giveaways. We're gonna do a giveaway. As soon as Jason gets to 10K, we're gonna give away. You have anything you want to give away? We'll do a double whammy.
Yeah, dude. We can do a brand new hate shirt. Got them made.
Hey, there
Boom.
we go.
Okay, as soon as Jason gets to 10K, we're doing a giveaway of a hate shirt.
Yeah.
So PTG listeners, go follow our mans, and then let's see, Jason, how do you want to do it? How can people? What should they do? They comment on something, or are you just gonna pick one random one out of your 10K followers as soon as you hit 10K?
I mean, honestly, I think I got to pick a random one out of the 10K because it's got to be, there's some people in there that have been supporting for a long time. So I don't want to give something away to a new guy,
I like it. I like it. Okay. Yeah. I like it. So yeah, listeners, go, not just for the giveaway, dude, your content's amazing. Look, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that you've like picked up the Instagram stuff. A lot of players are shy to do it. They're afraid about, what the peers are going to think and stuff like that. But it's so important for our sport, man. It really is. Like nobody's going to grow this thing other than us. That's right. That's the bottom line. So really appreciative of what you do. Let's see. I also got this little dynasty ring. Maybe we could include that in there.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, dude, let's throw in a PTG shirt as well.
All right. We're getting Jason to 10K, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
100%. So, we'll, Jason, I'll send you a shirt, this ring, and some stickers.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of push that. But as soon as you get to 10K, you'll be responsible for picking a winner and shipping it out.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
All right. And then so your Instagram, I guess the people need to know, what does FK stand for? Your Instagram is Jason FK Edwards. Why don't you download?
Yeah.
Dude, let's talk about that actually real quick. It'll be the last, unless Tyler has another question, but you've completely transformed your body, your health, everything to become the player you are today.
Yeah, and like obviously nowadays, like I've let it go a little bit, but yeah. So when I was on Miami Effect, there was 4 Jasons on the team, and the coach was just like, I don't know what to do, like last names, whatever. And he's just like, I'm just gonna call you fat kid. And I was bigger. I was still a little big. Like I was hitting the 250 mark, 260 mark. So I was like, that's fine with me. Like I didn't think I was that fat, but whatever. And it was an incentive to basically like my dad was the other one. My dad basically like sat me down. He was like, hey man, you got fat. And I was like, oh, damn, like, did I? Like, cool. And, so cool. He was like, you should lose some weight and you'll be better at sports. And I was like, all right. So I went nuts and just started losing weight. And for some reason, like even right now, like I've been cutting a lot of weight since Cup, but it's like, it's weird for me. It's like, once I start working out and I start doing cardio and I start lifting weights, nothing happens, right? Like it takes me a hot minute, months. And then all of a sudden it just melts. And it's like, the first one was huge. It was like between 80 and 100 pounds. Like I can't remember what I lost. Like it was insane.
Wow.
I got way too skinny, way too small, and just didn't like it. And I got hooked on trying to build muscle and stuff like that. And then there was a point where I got too big, like too muscular for paintball. So I thinned back out, and it was nice. And then now, like I said, with managing the team and just working from home and everything, the weight started picking back up. Some medicine issues that I had to take for some fertility issues, stuff like that. Didn't help out, too much. And then, now like we've got the kids coming, we're good to go. Like the weight's coming off, super stoked to be back to my nice, fit, athletic appearance.
Well, you and your brother were flying around that field at World Cup, and there's nothing fat about you, brother. You're, and even for anybody who does have some extra weight, the cool thing about paintball is it's one of those sports that it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. If you can, I see plenty of, skinny, a little bit larger, it doesn't matter. It's just
I highly disagree.
With what?
That it does matter. It makes a big difference, dude. If you are athletic and can get around the field better, it's going to help you tremendously.
Pro, of course, bro. At pro, of course.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, but we're talking about paintball. Paintball, paintball as a whole. Yeah. But
in general, almost anyone can play paintball. But like at the pro level, the more fit you are, the better it's going to feel, the better decisions you're going to make, all that stuff. And that's one thing that like all of Damage has been working on this offseason. So it's going to be like a really exciting year for us. And everyone knows Joey Blue can be, an ass at times, right? Like he's a very straightforward person. Like this dude has reminders set in his calendars to like text certain like people on the team and just be like, are you working out? Like, are you being a piece of shit? Like, are you being fat? And like that, he has like actual like, reminders set up, and it's helpful. Like I like having a manager like that. Like, he'll message me and be like, am I going to see, 2014 Jason, or am I going to see 2020 Jason? And it gets me going. Cause like, you remember those heydays when you were faster and you were more aggressive.
That's so funny. So he really does that. I watched the Go Sports interview, and he's like, yeah, I text Jacob every day. He's like, you still fat? You getting back in the gym? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, you got to be real like that. No, Tyler, you are right though. In paintball, it's kind of a cool thing. Like no matter how you can't outrun a paintball. The fastest man on planet Earth cannot outrun a paintball. So you can, the game accepts all shapes, sizes, everything. But you want to be in the best shape possible, especially if you want to compete at the highest levels. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, totally. Now we appreciate you, man. And thanks for coming on, Jason. It's an honor to have you on the show. Your lineage in the game has been tremendous, and we can't wait to see what Damage does in 2021. Hopefully we can get back to these tournaments pretty soon here. It's been a weird off season.
It has.
Hope so.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm glad I got on here finally.
Hey, dude, anytime you want to come back on, man. We it's funny. So the show so far, obviously it started during COVID, during the pandemic, and it was nice to just sit down with people and just really talk about backstory and tell the story of historic players, right? It's fun to have those conversations. But as we move forward, we want to have people on all the time just to talk about current events and ideas and, just have a good time. So you'll be back on, soon enough. You always got a seat here, brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
Well, sending tons of love to you and the fam. Peace.
Thanks, boys. Take care.
Later, bro.
All right. Damn, it's kind of a bummer we had to cut it short, but Jason does have a family he had to get back to. We are incredibly thankful for the time he spent with us. We'll have to have him on again to really dive in deeper. He's somebody who has a lot of very valuable insight. He's seen so many different incarnations of the game. He has a really great, unique, and valuable perspective into the sport. So we'll definitely have him back on here in the near future. We want to give a major shout out to all of our supporters, everybody who listens to the show. Thank you guys so much. All of our Patreon supporters, our members, our teammates. We are so thankful for you guys as well. Without you guys, the show does not go on. You guys are doing an amazing job, and we are here to bring you guys some awesome stuff as well. So we got tons of great content coming to the Patreon. Stay tuned. You guys could head over to ptgpaintball.com to check it out. We have all of our audio and video podcast episodes on there, as well as some merchandise. And if you do need a website, you guys know who to go to, Rusty Glaze at Concept Pursuit. All right, PTG fam, until next time, we'll see you soon.